Okay. So now I will write a class called bank account, as I explained you, and I'll write the scenarios. Just see now, you need not type it. Just understand the concept, it is sufficient. I'm going to create a package called com.accenture, and here bank account. Inside bank account, I am creating private int balance, and for simplicity I am writing only withdraw method. Here I am writing a method withdraw, public int withdraw. Withdraw method is taking amount to be withdrawn, int amount. Now I am writing if condition, if balance less than or less than amount, then it is an exceptional scenario. Here I want to throw an exception, else return amount. Before returning the amount, balance is equals to balance minus amount. Now if this condition is satisfied, I don't want the rest of the lines to be executed, so I need to throw an exception. If an exception is thrown at a particular line, the rest of lines will not be executed, the exception will be propagated to the caller. Now here I want to throw, if I want to throw an exception, it should be the purpose of throwable. I don't want to use existing exceptions, I want to write my own exception, so I will write my own exception. I am creating a new class, balance insufficient exception. It should be subclass of throwable, or generally what we do is whenever we are writing exception, we will subclass exception. And we may want to say the cause, so I will use constructor. Here I am going to source, generate constructors from superclass. See, I want to take constructor which is taking string, that is nothing but the message. Okay. So I created my own exception class. I am not doing anything else also here. Just I wrote a subclass of exception and I use my own constructor and call it super, which is taking message. As it is subclass of exception, it is indirectly extending throwable, so I can throw it. See here, I will write throw new balance insufficient exception, and here the message, what should I keep? See here, you are trying to withdraw plus amount plus you have only plus balance. See the message I am saying, throw balance insufficient exception. This exception will be propagated to the caller, and how does the caller know what is the cause? This is the cause, whatever I am passing to the constructor. See here, in this line exception is being thrown, right? And is it a compile time exception, balance insufficient funds exception? Is it a compile time exception or runtime exception? Tell me. compile time exception because it is not subclass of runtime exception. Any class which is subclass of runtime exception is only runtime exception. Rest all are compile time exception. This is a compile time exception. So here exception is being thrown. The compiler will not agree until you catch it or you declare it throws. So there are only two options. I am keeping the cursor here. See, add throws declaration, or the second one is around with try catch. Let us say I will do it like this. I can catch it, try catch, and I am only throwing, I am catching, no use. Here only I am throwing and I am catching, no use. I want it to be propagated to the caller, so I don't want to handle the exception here. I want the exception to be propagated to the caller. So what I will do is, instead of catching, I will declare. See, I am keeping my cursor here and selecting add throws declaration. Withdraw method throws. So throws is used to declare that your method is throwing an exception. Throw is used to throw an exception, right? For throwing, you cannot throw all classes. You can throw only subclass of throwable. Okay. Okay. This is how I declared my withdraw method. Now I will write another class which will call this withdraw method. Let us see what happens. I am writing a new class, demo. I'll take main. Here I'll create an object of bank account first. Bank account is equals to new bank account. Then I am trying to call account dot withdraw 20,000. But did I deposit anything, any amount here? What is the amount here in bank account? This balance is not initialized, right? How to initialize it? By using a constructor? Okay, I'll try to give a constructor now. So I gave a constructor which is taking balance. So to create bank account object, now I have to pass. Okay, I'll pass 10,000. So now the amount in my bank account is 10,000, but I am trying to withdraw 20,000. Okay, but here why is it giving error? The withdraw method is declaring that it will not always succeed. There is a probability of exception to happen. As the withdraw method is declaring that it throws exception, a compile time exception, the compiler will not agree until you handle it. There are two choices now. Either I can write it inside a try catch like this, or I can declare that main throws. Okay, but generally we are supposed to catch, so that I can write alternate code. So what happens? It will try executing this. If this fails, I can write an alternate code here inside the catch block. Maybe I'll again try to call account dot withdraw. And before that, what is this e dot print stack trace? So every thread has a stack. What will be there in the stack? Method, currently running method will be on the top of the stack. So suppose main is the first one. If main calls a method called m, that will be on top of stack. When m calls n, it will be on top of stack. If n calls another method x, it will be on the top of stack. And when you are executing x, if exception occurred, so these all methods are in the stack. So it will print the stack trace. I will show you how it will print the stack trace. I'll run it. Run as Java application. See here. This is the stack trace. You can see. See at what line? In withdraw method at line number 18. In main method demo.java line number 9. These two lines are nothing but the stack trace. This is the exception class name, and is this a method which I wrote? You are trying to withdraw 20,000, you have only 10,000, right? So this is the stack trace. Tell me, did I write any method called print stack trace in my bank balance insufficient exception? No, it is inherited from exception. It is already there to print the stack trace. I just call that inherited method. Okay. Now in the catch block, what all can I write? I can write alternate code. If withdrawing 20,000 fails, I try to withdraw 10,000. Account dot withdraw 10,000. But will it succeed now? Will it succeed? 10,000 withdrawing in my bank account. I initialize with 10,000. I am trying to withdraw 10,000. Will it succeed? Yes, it will succeed, right? 10,000 is there. I am trying to withdraw 10,000. But why is it giving error again here? It is saying that there is a probability, right? It may or may not occur, but there is a probability, right? If the method is trying, you should catch it. So what I can do is now, I can again surround it with the try catch. I am keeping that cursor, surround with try catch. See, in one catch, I can have another try catch. Okay? Again, if withdrawing 10,000 also is not sufficient, is not working out, what I can do is, I'll try to withdraw 5,000 at least. Account dot withdraw 5,000. Again, this may also not succeed. Okay, if withdrawing 5,000 also not possible, I don't want to again withdraw. So I want the program to terminate. I'll come out of the ATM, right? So I want the program to terminate. Now what I can do is here, add throws declaration. Now I am declaring main throws. So here I am not handling, right? If it is failing to withdraw 5,000 also, the program will terminate. So what you understood from this example is try catches can be nested to any level. Inside this catch you can have another try catch. Inside that catch you can have another try catch. So try catches can be nested like anything. Okay, but one try should have a catch. At least one catch. Okay. Now I will give another example. This is the example which I wrote. Here I showed you an example of how to throw my own exception, right? Tell me, when is the class loaded? When is the class loaded? Any class. Whenever we try to create an object for the first time, right? But there is another way to load the class. There is a class called class. There is a class called class present in a package called java.lang, and inside that there is a static method called forName. If I give anything like com.accenture.bank account class.forName, what it will do is it will try to load this class whatever I give. That's all the existing functionality, right? So see here, I am asking to load this class, but what if I do some spelling mistake? Class cannot be found, right? So when they wrote that forName method, they want to say to us, oh, loading this class may not always succeed, it may fail. So this forName method in class is throwing an exception called class not found. Now I'll keep it. See, add catch, add try catch. Again, inside this try again I have try. What is this exception? Class not found exception. Right, now you might be getting a clear idea. What is the purpose of declaring exceptions? My method declaring throws exception. Because forName method was declaring that it throws class not found exception, I got a compiler error and I am able to handle it. Okay. Now in one try I had another try, right? Okay, now what I'll do is I'll just Control Z. See here, there is another thing. I'll add catch clause to surrounding try. If I select this, see here, For one try block there are two catches, is it? So one try can have multiple catches. Why? See, first line, when it is executed in first line, there is a property of balance insufficient. Another line, there is a property of class not found. So in try block I can have multiple statements and each statement may cause an exception. So one try can have multiple catches. Okay, now let us try to understand the flow. Tell me, if this line throws an exception, will this line be executed? If this line throws an exception, what happens is control will come directly from here to first catch. It will see what is the exception thrown by withdraw, balance insufficient. Is this catch block taking balance insufficient? Matching? It will execute this catch block. It will come out of all catch blocks and will start executing the code after the catch blocks. Right? If I write something like this, after the catch blocks, after all the catch blocks, if I write some code, this will be. Now what will happen? Tell me, what will happen if an exception occurs at this line? This line will be executed? No. So control will come here. It will check. Class not found exception is thrown here, right? It will check. Is this exception matching? No. Is it exception matching? Yes. So it will execute this. So corresponding catch block will be executed, and then the flow will continue. Any doubts? Now tell me, what will happen if I say like this? See, when I say exception, first catch block is taking exception. What will happen if any exception occurs? Suppose let's assume here balance insufficient funds exception occurs. It will come here. Is it matching? Yes. Okay, let's assume class not found exception occurs. It will come here. Is it matching? Exception is superclass of all exceptions, right? So it's matching. It will execute. Always this only will execute. Will there be any chance for this catch block to execute? No. This catch block is unreachable. That's why you are getting an error. Unreachable. Okay. So what you understood is, if there are multiple catch blocks for a single try, the superclass of all exceptions should be at the bottom. It should not be above. See, now I will write like this. Instead of doing like this, if I write something like this, second catch block taking exception, it's okay, because at this line, let's assume arithmetic exception occurs. Arithmetic exception is also one of the exceptions. Let's assume arithmetic exception occurs. We first compare, is this arithmetic exception? No. It will compare, is this arithmetic exception? Yes. It is super type, right? It is matching. Superclass reference can point to subclass object. So this will be executed. So whenever one try block is having multiple catches, the catch block which is taking super type should be at the bottom. Otherwise, it will say unreachable code. It's a compilation error. This is a probable question in your exam. They can say, they can give some code and say at what line is the problem. Will this code compile or not? Okay. So just try to understand this. Fine. Now I have a doubt. Here is the main method. If an exception is thrown, will the program terminate or not? If an exception is thrown, it is not handled at all. Will the program terminate or not? Terminate? So if an exception is caught, program will terminate. True, false? False. Why? Huh? After all, I am not catching suppose the exception called X is thrown somewhere, right? It is not at all being caught. What will happen? Will the program terminate or not? Terminate true or false? No, compile time exception only. I am declaring the main throws exception. So this can throw any exception, right? So if exception is not handled, will it terminate? No, it will not terminate. Why?
After main method is supposed to be executed, it is expecting that exception to be propagated to the next level.
Okay.
So it would execute the main method.
Okay. See now, see this program and tell me what will happen. I am having a method m. Suppose there is a method main and there is a method m, n, and there is another method o. Okay. Here there is some code. It is calling m. Here there is some code. M here some code is there. It is calling n some code. And n is there is some code. It is calling o. Here let's assume this o at this line it throws an exception. It is declaring that it throws some exception x. Okay. At this line it throws an exception. It will be propagated to here. Here also I didn't handle it. So my method n also declaring that it throws x. It will be propagated to its color n. Here also I decided I will not handle it. So I had declared that method m throws x. So again it will come here. Here also I decided I will not handle it. So I declared method being throws x. So here also I am not handling. It will go to its color. Who called main? JVM. JVM called main thread called main. So when main thread catches the exception, it will print the stack trace. It will terminate that thread. Right. So that thread will be terminated. Remember this point. Here in this case there is only one thread called main thread. So if main method is not handling it, main thread will terminate. Right. But the program will not terminate. Later when seeing threads, when I am talking about threads, I can say I will show you how to create multiple threads. In one JVM, multiple threads can be created. Let's assume at a particular point there are 100 threads running in this JVM. Main thread is not handling it. Only main thread will terminate, but other threads will be still running. So if an exception is not caught, program is not terminated, but only that particular thread will get terminated. Okay, if that thread catches, it will catch it and terminate that thread, terminate itself. Okay. So remember, if somebody asks if an exception is not caught, will the program terminate? No, only that thread terminates. But in our application, if there is only single thread, of course, program also terminates. Okay. Okay. Now I have something. I have a lot of lines here. Tell me if any of the exception occurs, these lines will be executed. No, right? If any exception occurs, it will be propagated. These lines will not be executed, right? So if I want some lines to be executed in any case, whether an exception occurs or not, what I have to do is I have to surround it with try finally, and here I can write whatever I want, whatever statements I want, I can write inside finally, whatever. So when to use finally? The concept is, if you have some statements to be executed, whether an exception occurs or not, then you have to keep them in finally block. Is that right? Catch block right now? No. So you can use it at try finally or Or suppose if I remove this, now here it is giving compilation error. My main method is not declaring it throws. I need to handle it. See what I'll do. Add catch clause of surrounding try. See, try, catch, finally. Again, add catch. See, one try is having two catches and one finally. So the combination can be like this: try, catch, finally, or try, finally, or try, catch can be there. Right? Only try can it be there? Only finally can it be there? No. So finally is a block or method. Tell me. Okay. Many people get confused with another method called finalize. In object class, which is superclass of all classes, there is a method called finalize. Do you know in C++ you have something called as destructor? If you are from C++ background, constructor is for initializing, destructor is for writing all the destroying code. So destructor is there. Many people say that in Java there is no destructor. There is destructor, finalize method. Right? So if you want to write some code which should get executed before the object is destroyed, you have to write it inside finalize method. You can override finalize method because it is present in superclass object. If you want to write something, you have to override that finalize method. Okay? Finalize is a method which will be executed before the object is garbage collected. Okay? Any doubts? Finally is a block. And what is final? Final is a keyword. It can be used with a class. Class cannot be inherited. If it is used with a method, method cannot be overridden. If it is used with a variable, it is a constant. Right? Okay. That's about basics of exceptions. Any doubts in this? Huh. Now regarding exceptions, something more regarding exceptions. I have a superclass. Okay, I'll just write it in Notepad here just for demonstration. I have a class called X and I have a method M and I have a class called Y extends X. And now I will override this M and I'll declare that it throws some exception A, B, C exception. Tell me, is there any problem with this code? Is there any problem with this code? I have a class X in which I have a method M. This is not throwing any exceptions. And I have a method, I have class Y extends X and I have overridden M. But it is throwing some other exception called ABC exception. Is there any problem? It is a checked exception. ABC is a checked exception.
Then it's not a proper way of overriding the method.
Yes. Now what I want you to understand, exactly, you are exactly correct. What I want you to understand is, in overridden method, the overridden method should not throw any extra exceptions. If suppose M is throwing, if M is throwing this exception, okay, in the subclass while overriding you can throw it, but you cannot throw extra exception like this. This is wrong. The overridden method should not throw extra exceptions in the superclass. It is wrong. Okay, it will give a compilation error. This can be one of the probable questions in your exam. Okay. But now tell me, if in superclass my method M is throwing ABC exception, in subclass this overridden method will not throw any exception. Is there any problem now? Yes, there is no problem here. The overridden method may throw the exceptions in superclass or may not throw it, but it should not throw extra exceptions. Okay? I will repeat it. The overridden method should not, may throw the exceptions declared in superclass or may not throw it. May throw or may not throw, but it should not throw extra exceptions. It can throw ABC exception, but it cannot throw any extra exceptions. Why? I want a reason. Logical reason. Anyone can give the logical reason? Okay, can a constructor throw exception? Yes. Now see here, see this and tell me what is the problem with this code. I am just removing this method m also. Simply I am writing a constructor for x and I am writing a constructor for an x throws. I am declaring x throws ABC exception, and yeah, is there any problem with this code? Constructor is throwing, x constructor is throwing ABC exception, y is extending x, this is y's constructor. What will be the first line inside the constructor? Call to super, but super is throwing an exception, right? Okay. Super is throwing an exception. So when a particular line is having an exception, here at this line an exception is being thrown, right? There are two options, whether I can declare throws or I can catch. Suppose if I try to catch it. Yes, very good. Suppose if I try to catch it, try and I try catch block. Try will be the first line inside the constructor. Again violating the rule. Super should be the first line inside the constructor. So what we learned? If superclass constructor is throwing an exception in subclass constructor, you cannot handle it by using try catch block. You should declare that y also throws ABC exception, right? So if a superclass constructor is throwing an exception, your subclass constructor should throw an exception. It cannot handle it. Any doubts? Now I have a question. What is the difference between an error and an exception? Exception, is it an error? Exceptions are unexpected, errors are expected. Okay? Very good. But how? What do you mean by it exactly? Can you explain? Yes, very good. Yes. Stack overflow error, out of memory error. These are the examples of errors. I will explain it. See, when exception occurs, I can handle it. But errors occurs, I cannot handle it. What do I mean? Example. I will give an example. What if I call main inside main? Stack overflow? Error? Okay, I will write something like this. 1 minute. I will write a new class. Let me explain you the concept. Error demo. Yep, see here, I am calling main inside main. Now I'll run it. Okay, I'll print some system.out.println after main. Now, before this also I'll print system.out.println before now if I run, see it printed before calling main many times, and after that see it printed stack overflow error. Tell me, is it a problem with my code? Is it a problem with my code? Exceptions are because of my code or not? Errors are because of my code? Yes. See here, I may need to call main according to my logic until some condition is satisfied. Here I am just writing true. Just assume some condition, not true. Until some condition is satisfied. Maybe I want to call main inside main for 1 lakh times. After calling main inside main for 1 lakh times, my business logic will be successful. I want to call main inside main 100 times. Oh, sorry, 1 lakh times. But I got stack overflow error. We didn't call 1 lakh times. Because stack will be having a fixed size, and that is dependent again on the operating system on which you are running. Right? For Windows, the stack size may be, by default the stack size as I saw in Solaris was 64 KB. That depends upon the operating system. The default stack size will be 64 KB kilobits, and maybe on Windows it might be different size, and for Mac it may be different size. Right? So maybe if I am running my program on Windows, as the stack size is less on Windows, my program will fail. If I run the same program on Mac, let's assume that Mac is giving more stack size. My program may succeed on Mac OS, right? So whose fault is this? It's not my program's fault. It's a problem with the environment in which it is running. If it is Mac, it is running successfully, but on Windows it is not running successfully because Windows is not able to allocate me required stack size, right? So errors are not due to our programs; it is due to the environment in which it is running. And if error happens, our program will definitely terminate. Our program will definitely terminate. But if exception happens, I can handle it. I can keep it in a try-catch block. I can handle it. Error, can I handle it? Yes, of course I can keep it in a try-catch block. But even if I handle it, there is no use because anyway stack is overflown. Again after some time also it will overflow. Even though we handle errors, it will not be of any use. So we say errors cannot be handled, exceptions can be handled. Errors are due to the environment in which our program is running. Okay. But how to approach with these errors? If error occurs, like out of memory, let's assume my program is so big, it is running for hours and days together. At some particular point of time, the memory allocated, the heap memory allocated for JVM is not sufficient. My program is creating objects, creating a lot of objects. After some time, memory will not be sufficient. It will throw out of memory error. Even though I catch that out of memory error, again it will fail. Anyway, because my memory is full, there is no use. So out of memory error because my JVM is not allocated the amount of memory it requires. Right? So how to handle that scenarios? I'll tell you. I'm just opening the command prompts. See how to, suppose there is a program called X. If I want to run java com.accenture dot, when I run this program, JVM will be allocated some heap size, some memory, and main thread will start. Thread also will be allocated from stack size, right? But now I want to tell, when my program starts, I want my JVM to be allocated some minimum amount of memory. Let's say whenever my program starts, I want to ask the operating system, give me 256 MB of memory to my program, and maximum of 1 GB amount of memory to my program, right? So to ask like that, see, there are options. To see that options, what I'll do is Java hyphen capital X I'll type and press enter. It is giving me all the help. See here, there is something XMS. What is it? Set initial Java heap size, XMX maximum Java heap size, and XSS set thread stack size. By using these options, I can ask the operating system to allocate memory to my JVM. See how I'll do it. I can say something like this: Java hyphen XMS 256M. XMS stands for initial heap size. XMX option stands for initial heap size. Hyphen XMX 1024M means 1 GB. Then I'll say my program name com.accenture.x, right? So when my program starts initially, it will be allocated, the operating system will allocate 256 MB of memory to my JVM. Let's assume my program is running continuously, and after some time 256 MB is full. It requires more. So my JVM will ask the operating system to give me more memory. Operating system will give more memory until 1 GB. MX is 1024M. Until 1 GB my program can grow. After 1 GB also, if it requires still more memory, what will happen? And the maximum is 1 GB. My program is still executing, it requires more memory. What will happen? It will again terminate by throwing out of memory error. So it's during testing only we have to determine how much memory my application requires. So when our application is developed, we will run it once. If we get out of memory, we will increase the heap size, maximum heap size. Again test it by using load testing. I hope you have given some basics of testing. How many types of testing are there, etc. So if I do load testing, again, if 512 MB of memory is not sufficient, again I'll ask some 100 MB more, 600 MB, 700 MB, like that. We should do load testing and determine what is the maximum amount of memory required by my application before deploying. Accordingly, we have to configure XMX. XMX, there is no space. Okay, I typed spelling mistake. There is no space between XMS and XMX. It's continuous. Okay. Any doubts? Like that, if you want XSX is for stack size. XSS. If you want more stack also, what you can do is hyphen XSS, say 128 whatever it is. You can specify what is the heap size required. Yeah, no space. Okay. So this is how we need to view. So errors cannot be handled right now. My application, if an error occurs now, my application has to terminate. But we can take care next time that it should not fail due to same reason. We can increase the memory arguments. These are called as virtual memory arguments. Okay. So in Eclipse, how to pass virtual memory arguments? Okay, see, right click, run as, run configurations. Here in arguments, VM arguments are there. Here you have to give the argument whatever I give, XMS, XMX, XSS. Okay. So that's about handling errors. Can you create your own error? We know how to create my own exception. I have created balance insufficient exception. If I want to create my own error, how to do it? We can extend error. See, throwable is superclass of all exceptions. It is having two subclasses, error and exception. If you want to write your own exception, generally we extend exception. If you want to write your own error, you can extend error and. But we will never write our own errors. Okay, errors are caused due to some pre-existing things. Already predefined errors are there. We'll never write our own errors. Okay. That's the concept. Any doubts?